We're joined now by Hockey Hall of Fame writer covering the Detroit Red Wings for Detroit Hockey Now. It's our pleasure to welcome Kevin Allen back to Sekeres and Price. Kevin, how you doing?
It's been a while.
Yeah, it has been. Happy to join you guys, talk a little hockey here in August.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Well, we reached out, Kevin, because yet another Detroit Red Wing is now a Vancouver Canuck. What can you tell us about Pius Suter, who is signed by Vancouver on Friday to play third-line center?
Well, I think this is a great pickup for the Canucks. The Red Wings really didn't want to get rid of Pius Suter, but they're in an interesting situation. They're in the latter stages of a rebuild. They wanted to get bigger and stronger. They've got younger players they wanted to bring up. So they wanted to give Suter a one-year deal, and he really was looking for a multi-year deal. And I think the Red Wings felt they didn't really want to go there because they didn't know where they were going to be at after this season in terms of wanting to bring in younger players. But he's a very consistent two-way player. Coaches like him, teammates like him. He can kill penalties. His analytics are very good. He's the type of guy that can slide. He can play third line and be a checker. He can play even on your top line. They've played him there a couple of times. He has that skill. And if you look at his offensive numbers, he scores 14 or 15 goals every season. At least he has for the three he's been in the NHL. But I think everything about him speaks to that the Canucks got a really good deal this late in the summer.
You're right. Those numbers are very similar year to year. Although in his rookie season, he did it in just 50 odd games. The rate went down a little bit. Is that just because of how he was used? Not that it was a startling rate decrease, but there is a rate decrease over the few years.
The kind of team the Red Wings were. I mean, they were not a high-scoring team. They had trouble scoring goals. They don't have a lot of exceptional goal scorers. So I think he did the best with what he had to work with. He's a guy that I think needs, good line mates who can take advantage of what he brings to the table. But I think, having watched him for 2 seasons pretty closely, I think he's certainly capable of putting up better numbers. Like, he could be, a 20-goal scorer. He could probably add 10 points to that if he plays with the right people. It's all about opportunity with him. But, I think the Canucks are going to want to take advantage of his defensive ability, too. When I speak of his analytics, he's one of those guys that when they if you look at the players that he's matched up against, they rarely have more shots than when he's on the ice than his line does. He's pretty effective at possessing the puck. And, there's just a lot about him to like. The only thing from Suter's perspective is this had to be a little difficult for him because he's getting essentially for 2 years what he got for 1 year with the Red Wings. His last salary with the Red Wings was $3.7 million, and he's only getting 3.2 for the 2 seasons he'll play for the Canucks.
Speed, physicality, hands, passing, shooting. Take us through that part of his game, Kevin.
Well, he's a smaller player, so he's not going to mix it up, but he's not afraid either. Like, he'll go in the corner, he can get the puck. He's not timid by any means, but he's smallish, so he has trouble. That's too strong a word. He's not as effective against the bigger forwards in the league just because he is smaller, and I think that played some role in the Red Wings' decision to let him walk away and not give him the second year. I think there was sort of a mandate that, at least in Steve Yzerman's mind, that they wanted to get bigger and stronger. And, when you do that, you got to have roster spots to bring those guys in. And I think Suter's was one of the roster spots that was sort of designated as for bringing in a, kind of a larger body. And so that's one area of his game where I think, he'll fall, pun intended, a little short. He's just smaller, so he has a little bit of trouble in that regard.
Speed? Is he a good skater?
Yeah, he is a good skater. Not a blazer, but he's a guy that's going to get where he needs to go, and he's going to get there, quickly. He's very efficient too. Like he'll dart in and out of the seams and the defense as well. I think the skating is part of his game as well. That's above average. But it's not what he's kind of known for. I mean, I think he's really known for just being a very smart player. He takes advantage of everything he has to be effective. And, he's a good teammate. Like, there's never, ever going to be any problem with Pius Suter. He shows up when he's supposed to be there. He's pretty durable. You look at his record, he's stays in the lineup as well. And, he's not an exceptional, a great player. He's not an all-star, but he's very, very effective, and you'll get a lot out of him.
He was used on the penalty kill, but what is it on the penalty kill that gets him favored to? I mean, do you call him a good penalty killer? It's one thing to get used there, but maybe not necessarily elite.
Well, he's a good penalty killer. No, I like his. Yeah. I lost the tail end of your question there, but if with regard to penalty killing, I think he's an effective penalty killer. They like him out there. Quite a bit. And I think what they really like about him is he has the ability to turn a penalty kill into an offensive opportunity as well. So, they like him, and the Red Wings did in that regard. Although there were players on the team they liked better in that role. But again, I think they wanted to be hard to play against last year. That was one thing that Derek Lalonde brought in. And so they were constantly looking for guys that had a little bit more of an edge. But Lalonde was one of Suter's biggest fans. He constantly praised what he brought to the team.
Does he see the ice well, Kevin? And when he does shoot the puck, what kind of a shooter is he?
I wouldn't say he has the hardest shot on the team, but it's a pretty quick release. And he is certainly good in traffic with the puck, with his shot. I think he takes advantage of traffic. He likes to see some bodies there to take away the goalie's eyes a little bit. And I think in those situations he feels like he has an advantage. That would be my observation. He almost seems to hold the puck a little bit, waiting for there to be more traffic, and then he fires away. But he's not coming over the line and blasting a shot from 40 feet. That's not his game. He's going to get in close, take advantage, find the puck when others don't. But you cannot deny his consistency. He was, in all 3 seasons, he's found ways to get nets, and he didn't get like premium ice time last year. There's no doubt. He was just, he got consistent ice time, but, he was oftentimes on the third line and giving more of a defensive role than a scoring role.
Now, Filip Hronek is not a new acquisition. They got him back, of course, at the trade deadline, but it kind of feels like he's new. He suited up for a handful of games for the Canucks, but was never at 100%. Ultimately was held out for the rest of the season. So just, if you can, remind us what you think a 100% healthy Filip Hronek can do for the Vancouver Canucks, because there's going to be expectation for him to be a 2-3 defenseman, probably a 2 defenseman for the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah, I mean, Hronek can be a valuable defenseman. Certainly he offensively. The minute that the Red Wings traded him, they were looking to try to figure out how to replace him. They did it this offseason by bringing in Gosses-Pierre to handle the offensive side of that game, because they didn't want to put all the offensive pressure on Moritz Seider. But Hronek is, has some feistiness in him, and the Red Wing fans like that a little bit about him as well. But, he was an imperfect defenseman at times as well. He got himself, it seemed like he pouted a little bit when Seider took over as the number 1 defenseman, and that sort of got him in the doghouse a little bit with the coaches. They thought his attitude wasn't as good as it should have been in Suter's first year. But I thought he was much better last season about it all, and he kind of sorted out his place and figured it all out. But he's a two-way guy. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Like, he's not all offense. He'll work on it, and that's amazing when you talk to the Czech writers who can be hard on their players. Like, they love Hronek. They really do. They think he competes hard, and especially in international competition. But I think in Detroit, they always wanted a little bit more out of him. But I think the reason they traded him is they just didn't think they'd be able to afford him with the players they had. They didn't know if they'd have money to give him the kind of money that he's going to feel that he deserves.
Hronek in a Canadian market. Detroit's a well-covered team. He's moving to a Canadian market. Do you think he's well prepared for everything that a Canadian market brings with it?
Yeah, that's going to be a little bit different for him. Going to Canada there where, the media, and I'll call it pressure, is certainly not the same in the United States as it is in Canada. And he is not a guy that, I don't say that his relationship with the media in Detroit was bad, but it wasn't exceptional. He was not a go-to guy for the media, and he's not a guy that likes to answer a lot of questions, would be what I would say. So it's going to be different for him. He's going to have to adjust. There's no doubt about it. But as I mentioned before, he has a great relationship with the Czech media. They really, really like him. So, who knows? Maybe he is going to thrive in that market where he's got to answer more questions. He was not looked to in Detroit to talk a lot about went right or wrong with Detroit. I think in Vancouver, he'll have to certainly answer more questions than he did here in Detroit.
Marvelous stuff, Kevin. Great reconnecting, my friend. Thank you for the time. All the best there in the Michigan summer.
Yeah, next time I'll try to. I think we do this. I'll do it on my big machine, and maybe it could handle that better. So, because I'm doing this on my phone, obviously, and my iPhone doesn't seem to be able to handle this. So.
This clip brought to you by Interchange Recycling. Visit interchangerecycling.com to learn more and to find your closest recycling center.